The aware approach to cybersecurity is an approach where people are encouraged to implement critical thinking skills to tackle online challenges. The aware anagram stands for appropriate, who, accurate, respectful, and environment. In this presentation, we will be focusing on the areas of appropriate, accurate, and respectful. With the internet being a risk-filled environment, we must educate people on ways to minimize the risks associated with online activity. According to the Aware approach to cybersecurity, educating people on what type of online content is appropriate can significantly reduce the risks associated with posting content on the internet. For a post to be considered appropriate according to the Aware approach, before posting content online, you should consider if the content is suitable to be shared, whether the content is legal, and if the content will affect others. Study by Jane in 2014 found that people have different thresholds of what is acceptable on a social networking site. This study highlights the importance of educating, as what we perceive as appropriate may be different to what others believe. Special consideration should be paid to educating children and teens, as this age group is more at risk from inappropriate online actions. According to a study by Moranti in 2021, which aimed to analyze the risks to children and teens in relation to what they post and share on social networking sites.
The accuracy aspect of the aware approach prompts us to ask, is what we're sharing real and true, or is it fake, misleading, or a rumor? This is crucial for students to understand, as adolescents are particularly vulnerable to problematic social media use, which, as highlighted by Banyai and colleagues, can significantly harm mental health. With this in mind, there are 5 steps that you can take to ensure accuracy when using social media. Check before you share, spot the fakes, trust reliable sources, remember your reputation is at stake, and finally, stay responsible. It's easy to hit share, but it's smarter to pause and think first.
Respect is an important aspect anytime anyone is being social, but in the rapid advance of technology recently and teachers adapting to use it, respect has fallen back to a lower priority to teach students of. Just as much as it is in person, being respectful to each other is important online. It is necessary for skills students need to have in social working contexts, such as constructive criticism and group work.
We have developed 3 learning resources to help address the areas of the aware approach that we are covering in this presentation. The first learning resource we developed was appropriate versus inappropriate, which helps to educate people about appropriate online posts. The second learning resource we developed was Blue Tick or Kick, which aims to teach the importance of accuracy in the aware approach. And our third learning resource aims to have students analyze their use of social media and reflect on whether they have acted in a respectful manner. Our learning resource, appropriate versus inappropriate, aims to educate participants on what types of online posts are appropriate. The activity will split participants into groups. Each group is given a set of examples of social media posts. After each group has their samples, they must decide whether each sample is an example of an appropriate or inappropriate social media post. After each group has decided if each sample was appropriate or inappropriate, they must collaboratively discuss the answers they came to and why each sample was either appropriate or inappropriate. There are limitations that should be considered when administering this activity to ensure that those that may be impaired have an equal chance to participate and learn how to use social media in an aware, aligned, appropriate manner.
The learning resource for accuracy is an activity I've designed called Blue Tick or Kick, and it's focused on demonstrating the importance of accuracy in social media while also incorporating some friendly competition. How it works is the classes will be split into 2 and given 2 cards, one with a blue tick representing accuracy and one with a boot symbolizing misinformation. Teacher then presents 2 social media posts or images side by side, One is real and one is fake, which could either be AI generated or it could just be from an unreliable source. Students will then, in their groups, investigate the posts and collaborate within their groups to determine if the post deserves a blue tick or a kick. The strength of this activity is a blend of its competition and engagement, making learning both enjoyable and effective. Research by Russo and colleagues actually finds that integrating education with gaming enhances students' interest in a subject while also boosting their skills. And to ensure full inclusivity, some adjustments may be needed for full accessibility. I'll explore these a little bit more in my personal reflection.
The third resource will be a brief worksheet that asks students to think on their own post they've made and asks some broad questions about how they may or may not have used the AWARE approach to give students real, personal examples of the approach both in and out of action. It was also designed with accessibility in mind, printed on blue paper with the most dyslexic-friendly font Google offers on short notice, and with digital format easily available. The resource may have some dependency on how independently interested students are in these questions, and if they take the chance to grow from looking at their own work from another perspective, but either way, I'll expect it to be useful to include nevertheless.
In the self-paced reflection activity, students will engage in critical thinking to explore how the AWARE approach can be applied to real-life scenarios. The objectives of this lesson are for students to grasp the AWARE principles, recognize the importance of online safety, apply these principles to realistic situations, and reflect on their own online behaviors. In line with these learning outcomes, students will work to identify how using the AWARE approach could have changed the outcome of scenarios presented to them. For example, one scenario features David, a student who shares a video of himself performing a skateboard trick outside of his house while wearing his school uniform. In this scenario, students will 1. Identify the parts of the AWARE approach that were not followed. 2. Reflect on how using the AWARE approach could have led to a safer outcome. This activity aligns with key general capabilities, including literacy, ethical understanding, creative and critical thinking, and personal and social capabilities. Research by O'Connor and colleagues reveals that real-world examples can help students engage with the material and form deeper connections, which ultimately is the aim of this activity.
As for their final assessment taking up the second class, students will be given a random image selected from a curated selection of food blog worthy images standalone, and will be asked to use tools such as Canva, which will be taught briefly at the start of the class, to create a blog post surrounding it in a way that is both interesting for themselves, that the students feel they could post themselves, but also follows the AWARE approach. This assessment simultaneously assesses students' ability to use the AWARE approach independently, but also in the context of still making meaningful, well-designed, and well-worded posts for social media. The assessment process will be pretty standard, simple online submission at the end of the class, which teachers can look at and decide for themselves what to do with the results independent of this program and however they wish to teach their class.
In conclusion, we emphasize the importance of the AWARE approach in teaching online safety. We developed learning resources to engage students and ensure understanding of the key concepts. We included a self-reflection activity and assessment to reinforce and internalize the AWARE principles. And all throughout, we focused on the elements of our design, the instructional quality, and inclusivity and accessibility.